here. I said that'd be quick. It didn't go quite as quick as I thought. All right. So this influencer has a PhD in exercise science. Of course he does. And is a professor at a major university. Of course he is. He said in an Instagram post that his view on rapid fat loss has always been, fairly uniformly, just not to do it. Don't do it. What his lab recently did, however, was put a small number of resistance-trained males and females on a 2-week diet where the caloric deficit was about 40%. So what this means is if the calculated number of calories needed to maintain their weight was 2,000, okay, maybe for the females, maybe 2,000 calories a day to maintain weight's about right, let's just say, give or take. Then what he did is he had the females consuming about 1,200 calories a day because a 40% drop would be a drop of 800 calories from 2,000, and he had them on about 1,200 calories a day. That's just a guess of mine. He specifically said in his post 40%. I'm just extrapolating from there. And then for a male, if the calculated maintenance calories per day was about 2,500, then the males would have been eating about 1,500 calories a day for the 2-week diet that he had them on. Of the calories they were eating, their protein intake was about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. This is definitely considered a high protein diet. No argument there. So what happened? Well, in this small sample study, in his 2-week trial in his lab at the university, they found that about 2/3 of the weight loss was fat and about 1/3 was water and almost no loss of muscle. He was very surprised and is now rethinking his anti-rapid fat loss position. See, the thing is though, is I wasn't surprised. If you review the goal setter numbers my program provides, it, other than this holiday period between Halloween and New Year's, where I keep the goals more moderate, my system normally sets a fairly aggressive fat loss plan for you if you have a significant amount of fat to lose. And as part of the fairly aggressive plan, I suggest what's considered a high protein intake in the 30 to 50% of total calories range from protein. And as you all know, I beg, plead, cajole, poke, prod, and push everyone to engage in resistance training. The high protein intake that I recommend, plus resistance training that I recommend, and that I've always recommended, are to help reduce or eliminate any muscle loss while we strip the fat. I've been recommending this with great success for those who follow it for decades now. This isn't new science, Doc. It's not new. So he concludes his Instagram post, with this 3-point summary, which was: 1, if you do a rapid fat loss diet, make it quick. Don't aggressively diet for a long period of time. I'd suggest 2 weeks max is what he says. Number 2, resistance train with high intensity. Take each set close to failure. Number 3, eat a high protein diet. Aim for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And this summary was when I knew I wanted to do this rebut. In his view, we shouldn't be aggressive for longer than 2 weeks. Why? Because his study, which surprised him, was 2 weeks? What happens if we do the aggressive plan for 5 weeks? Well, if we resistance train and keep our protein high and don't do anything crazy otherwise, we'll keep most or all of the muscle mass we have and we'll strip fat. That's what's going to happen. I've witnessed it and seen the body fat test for decades now. Mine is anecdotal. I didn't run a research study, but I've been doing this for over 30 years with thousands of people. I've watched, I've seen the data. It is anecdotal, I get it, but it is what it is. It counts, it matters. Next, he says we should do RT, resistance training. And I totally agree with that, of course. But he checks out of reality when he says, quote, take each set close to failure, unquote. So if I do 5 sets of push-ups, I should do each set close to failure. If I do a loaded back squat, I should take each set close to failure. Are you friggin' kidding me? That advice is not only stupid and untethered from reality, it's dangerous. In the real world, we're going to need a proper warm-up, and then at some point, as we are progressing through our sets, when it's safe to do so, yeah, we should push the effort so that maybe for the final set, we are nearing failure. But not every damn set. What the frick? And even with my advice, where maybe one set of an exercise in a workout, if it can be safely done, is taken to near failure, that doesn't need to happen with every workout. If you did that a few times a month, where you take, on an exercise, maybe the last set, properly warmed up and everything else, when it's safe, when you have a spotter, when you're using the right equipment or you're doing the right movement where you can do it safely, If you were to do that a few times a month, where you take one set to failure, okay, you're going to be way ahead of the curve. Way ahead of the herd that almost never exerts any effort anywhere near failure. And I do agree that we get the most bang for our buck when on occasion we take a resistance training set to near failure. But no, doc, we should not take each set close to failure. Get real. Get real. But wait, there's more. So his final summary point is that we should go high protein. Agreed. But he gives an amateur, truly amateur, ignorant, newbie type of recommendation when he says we should consume about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. Hey, if you're 170 pounds, probably fine. 170 grams of protein a day if you're trying to add muscle or keep muscle while stripping fat. All right. But what if you're 265 pounds? What if you're 365, 465, 565 pounds? Hey, he says 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight a day. So if you weigh 265, you're supposed to consume 265 grams of protein a day? That's 1,060 calories from protein. No, professor. The idea isn't to hit 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. The goal is to hit about 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass a day, meaning the weight you have left after you subtract fat weight. So just round numbers here, generality. That 265-pound person, depending on height, of course, might have about 130 pounds of lean body mass. Probably it depends. I mean, if it's Shaq and somebody's 7'1", they're going to have a lot more lean body mass. They've got a bigger bone structure, on and on and on. But if we're just talking about, let's just make it a 5'5" female, 265 pounds. She's going to be around 50% or so of body fat, maybe higher. She might have 130 pounds of lean body mass. Might. So telling that person to consume 130 grams of protein a day makes a lot of sense. And that's what I'm talking about. If you were to do 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass a day, you're going to be in the pocket no matter who we're talking about. Okay? If you say per pound of body weight a day, again, what if you're 265, 365, 465, 565 pounds? 1 gram per pound of body weight? It's ridiculous. Amateur. Another quick rule of thumb way to figure, I want to give you another way besides lean body mass, because you might not know your body fat, you might not even want to do the math or know how to do the math to figure out how much lean body mass you have to figure out your protein needs. But another quick rule of thumb way to figure your protein intake recommendations while cutting fat and or adding muscle is to consume about 1 gram of protein per pound of your weight as it would be if you were at the normal weight range according to BMI, body mass index. So a healthy BMI is considered less than 25. All kinds of charts and everything online. You can Google it. What's a healthy BMI for a person who's 5'8", blah, 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 whatever. Tons of charts out there. Anyway, if you look at that and you look at what's the weight it says I'm supposed to be at with a BMI of 25 for my height, let's just use this as an example, because what I'm saying is whatever that weight is, we can use that as a guideline for how many grams of protein per day. Let me explain. So let's go back to our 265-pound person. Again, let's say she's a 5'5" female. So that 265-pound woman who's 5'5", according to BMI, at a healthy weight, right at that healthy weight cutoff for her, it's about 150 pounds. So a healthy weight for her, according to BMI, is 150. So if we told her, she's 265 pounds, if we told her to eat about 150 grams of protein a day, 1 gram per pound of her healthy weight in pounds by BMI, then we could stand on that ground very solidly and we'll be right far more times than not. The problem when a professor of exercise science with 91,000 followers spews misinformation like he did is there are hundreds who will read it and dozens perhaps who will internalize the info as fact and then repeat the misinformation to others. Multiply the misinformers like the professor here by thousands of misinformers across all media sources and we end up with millions of people with the wrong information. Being who he is, he should know better. Okay? That's it for that. So, what am I going to do? I'm going to turn you over to me from August of 2021, and I'm going to discuss splurging, and I'm going to discuss what I mean when I say it's all happening perfectly. Okay? So, without further ado, I'm going to turn you over to me from back then. Please stay and watch it. It's always nice, It's not often that you'll see the subjects that I handpicked for you today, and I did handpick them because I think they're really worth you looking at again. Every single week by private message, I have discussions with students who, trust me, it's not your fault. There's too much information out there in the world to try to retain it all. But I talk to students every week where it's quite obvious that I try to point them to a previous lesson that I've presented from a Wednesday live or somewhere else. 9 times out of 10, I've already discussed it, and it's just the person needs a refresher on it. So hopefully that's what this gives you. And if you've never seen it before, then it'll be obviously a lot more than a refresher. Anyway, hope you enjoy it. Have a great week. Hopefully you're all done with your Thanksgiving festivities. If not, I think we've covered that enough, and I think you know what to do. Anyway, I'll catch you loose. Turning you over to me from August of 2021 now. Have a great week. We'll catch you later. Bye-bye.